Hello there. My name is Hope Boykin, and I'm back with another Ailey All Access. This evening, we get to watch Jamar Roberts' Ode. Jamar Roberts is actually our very first resident choreographer, and I get to sit down and talk with my friend, my coworker. I feel like I've known him since the very beginning, or at least his New York beginning. And here we go. Hello, Jamar. How's it going,
Hi,
friend?
good. How are
What's
you?
happening? What we really need to talk about, even if we don't spend a whole lot of time on it, because I do believe that it is important for our audiences to get to know you, to find out who they've been watching for all these. Wait, so how many years does that make you in the company? It was like 17?
17 is the
17.
number on the paper.
Ooh, wow. Number 17 years performing with the company. So people feel like they know you because they've watched you in movement, but you've started to create works. We have what's called Ailey Dancers Resource Fund, where the company members choreograph on one another. And
Mhm.
I think that might have been the first time you actually had some lights and costumes and
Yeah.
dancers do what you wanted to do. How did that feel? And was that, did that like really push you toward making work, because you have work on Ailey 2. This, the piece that we're seeing this week, Ode, is, was your second ballet for the company. So for the first company. So talk about why it's so important for you to put your work on stage.
Whew. Um, I'll start with ADRF. ADRF was really important for me because I think up until that time I had never shown any work in New York City anywhere. Um, I felt like I had more in me to explore, and choreography was definitely one of those things. But not just choreography in the sense of like making steps and composition, but I also wanted to experience using the different elements of the theater, like lights and sets and costumes and stuff like that. And each time I always tried to push some element of the work. So I think the first time I did a duet with women, and the second time I did a piece with 6 women, and then I was going to make the costume, design and make the costume for the 6 women. And that piece was like my first sort of foray into jazz music. It was to an Alice Coltrane um, song, and then after that, I did another piece to like a Miles Davis song. So it gave me the opportunity to use all the elements, but also sort of find my voice and what it is that I wanted to say. Um, uh, the jazz sound, that language, it was definitely became something that was really important to me. And so that sort of went into Afrobeat Fela Kuti with Ailey 2, and then that went into Coltrane with Members, and then that went into Ode. And when I say that went into, I'm saying that because I mean my
Recommendation. That's
yeah,
very
just sort of like my relationship and the way that I was sort of digging into jazz music, because it ended up being something very important to uh, the work that I make, and not just because of the sound or because you know Ailey used it. It ended up being a deeper reason, um, which really helped inform what it is that I want to say in my work, and the audience that I kind of make the work for.
So I've heard you talk about jazz music too and the brilliance of it. Can you just tap into it for, like really quickly about what the weight of jazz means to you?
Well, the whole story of Black people can be told through music. You know what I mean? And in that timeline, jazz sits there, and I feel like once it appeared, it never disappeared. Uh, there's a legacy, a lineage there that I'm very much into. It's important to me because it's important to the culture in which I grew up in, and I think a lot of my work speaks to that culture. You know what I mean? It speaks to my mother, it speaks to my grandmother, to my brothers, to the life that I live and the life that I saw growing up and the life that I hope to sort of carry forward into the future. I've never said those words before.
We've even spoken before about what it is our voice needs to say today, what
Hmm.
we need to be as dance makers, as creatives. I've even heard you call yourself a closet creative
Mhm.
until now you're ready to burst out of this, way, and you're getting out of your own way
Mhm.
actually to express what's happening now, and I know that that is super relevant. I know. So as we talk about Ode, we talk about your collaborations with your lighting designer, with your set designer. You
Mhm.
have two casts of the first cast, or one cast is a cast of all men, the other cast is a cast of all women. They
Mhm.
dance it differently. What were you just trying to say? Even though what you were trying to say may not matter, you know, what were you thinking? Because I know that you're also one of those choreographers that's okay with an audience member taking away what they want.
Yeah. Um, Gosh, that's a tough one. I mean, essentially, I wanted to make a piece that was dedicated to innocent victims of gun violence, and I wanted to say it in a way that was very loving, and that was in honor of lives that have been lost. When we go to a funeral, we bring the the flowers. You know what I mean? We're there as a community to be supportive. I wanted to sort of create a work that had that sentiment. Do you know what I mean? Something that was very wholesome. It's the only word I can really think of at this time. Um, and I wanted two casts because I really wanted the male cast to represent all of those young unarmed black men that you heard about in the media that one summer, and the female cast, just the same was going on with them. But I remember going to um, Miami at around the time of the Parkland shootings, and I'm friends with a lot of the parents of the students, and I would hear the mothers say things like, "Of all the things that I have to be concerned with, when sending my kid off to school, and now I have to deal with this." And I think that that was one of it really like set off something in me that I was like, "Oh, this isn't just about, you know, this isn't exclusively about black men." You know what I mean? This is a larger, issue, and everybody is a child of somebody. Do you know what I mean? And I felt like it was really important for the women to sort of stand for that. And I
Um,
love female dancers.
I love watching it. I love watching it in both casts. But what I will say, the overarching feeling that I get is that, and I happen to know you have a good relationship. You have a wonderful relationship with your grandmother, and we often laugh
Mhm.
about her support. She didn't really understand what you were doing when you were younger and you were dancing, but now she's super proud of you, and I'm also glad that you're proud of your work. But
Mhm.
I see her looking down,
Yeah.
like she sees prayer over this cast of people, and we see the prayer lived out. And I
Mhm.
know I've never shared that with you, but that's really how I see the piece. It
Mhm.
starts in this quiet moment, as if there's just this one prayer that's happening, and
Mhm.
then it evolves into this, and then by the amen.
Mhm.
So I too, like our audiences, will have taken away my story, have taken away my thought process behind your work. But what I really am most is proud of you, and I continue to look at you and say, well done to this man who's developing unafraid, or at least you share. It feels like you're unafraid to move forward in speaking your voice. So,
Thank you. Um,
and sorry, go friend, go.
no, I was just thinking. I was listening to you, and you were talking about being afraid. I think that I am. I am not that I'm afraid, but I think that certain. I think to make anything, to bring anything into this world, takes so much courage to put yourself out there and to share in such a big, vulnerable way. Um, and that's not I'm not good at that. Do you know what I mean? But I know that I'm good at dance. Do you know what I mean? And so that dance gives me the courage to be vulnerable with the world. Does that make
Yeah.
any sense?
It makes perfect sense. And for young boys and girls, young artists looking at you on stage listening to you talk, actually hearing the sound of your voice and what it sounds like, you're
Mhm.
going to encourage them because you continue to encourage me. And I know you're encouraging our audiences. And I'm just going to close by saying, to find out about everything and anything Ailey, you can go to AlvinAiley.org/AileyAllAccess because there's nothing you can't find. We also have the Ailey extension, which is AileyExtension.com/keep dancing. You can learn classes, learn movement. They're free classes. You can log on, see things that are available to you. And, we also need to make sure that we thank our first responders, our people on the front line, those we want to make sure we clap for at 7 o'clock and acknowledge their work during this time. It's unfortunate that we are on intermission, but we know the pause will come to an end at some point, and we just want to continue to do what Mr. Ailey said. Dance came from the people. So what, Jamar? It should be.
Always be giving back to the people.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you so much.